Disclaimer, before I can even start this video, I want to clarify that I absolutely love the first Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie. My friend and I went to go see it the day it dropped in theaters, and we had an absolutely amazing time watching it. I was looking over at her saying like, you good? All right, cool. And she was locked into the screen. We both had an amazing time just to get the full story out. Luna, if you're watching this, thank you so much for going with me. I can't wait to go see 2 and 3 with you. But after I left that theater and talked about the movie with some friends who had already read the manga, you know, I told them what had happened in this one and where it went up to and all that good stuff, I real quickly came to a realization that this arc, this one in specific, should not be adapted into a movie. Now, if you're familiar with my channel or me in general, you've probably heard me say something like this for almost every single story arc that's been adapted into a theatrical release. And honestly, just to say it straight up, I don't like these. I am not a fan of these story arcs being adapted into theatrical releases, and for several reasons. The first reason being that all of these story arcs, or if not all of them, then like 99.9% of them could easily fit within a 12-episode season or less episodes than that. So to me, seeing these story arcs being adapted into movies just seems like a way to stretch out the series longer than it needs to be stretched out for, and for a pretty penny, and to build up some crazy hype and clout for your series. But you know what else can do the exact same thing? I wonder what it is. A good season of an anime. I'd much rather take banger episode after banger episode after banger episode and see people online losing their minds at everything that is happening, whether it be the plot progression, the insane animation, or some crazy voice acting. At this day and age, everybody's amazing at everything. The animation, the voice acting, the plot. We're at the point with anime where everything just has the potential to be the best 10 out of 10 experience we've ever taken in. So I'd rather take those banger episodes back to back to back rather than waiting years just for an update for this one movie so that a series can eventually progress in telling its story. Then we start getting a trailer, then we start getting promotional material, and all of this happens within like a month of the movie coming out, and then bam, the movie's out, we sit in the theater for an hour and 30 minutes, or if you're Demon Slayer, 2 hours and 35 minutes. And then we leave the theater and we gotta wait for the next season or for the next movie or whatever the hell it is. What a great cycle. Who loves that? What are we doing here? It's also just the fact that if we were to actually put these story arcs that are being adapted into theatrical releases into the season that was corresponding with it, we could, oh, I don't know, have a longer season maybe? Ever think about that one, Chainsaw Man? Adapting the arc that kind of needs to be within season 1 as a movie? That's a whole other conversation for another day, and I will gladly get into it if you want me to. But my second reason for not liking these movies is because I miss the days of walking into a movie theater and not knowing what the hell to expect other than the trailers that we've gotten. See, back in the day, there used to be movies that were completely original from the source material. So not even the manga readers could spoil you or anybody as to what the hell was gonna happen in this movie because nobody knew what the f was gonna happen. Anything can happen within these movies, and I much rather prefer those because, like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna see, and those are more hype, way more hype than all these movies that have to rely on the story arc just being really good and nailing that delivery on certain scenes and crazy animation. Because look, sure, I want to see crazy animation and perfect delivery on certain scenes, but it's so much more fun and easier to do that with these anime original movies. Now look, let me calm down and just, before I can say anything, I want to say that I do genuinely enjoy sitting down in the theater and watching these movies because look, all of this anger, this rage, this whatever you want to call it, it comes from the fact that I do love these properties and I do love these stories within this movie, and I just wish it was delivered in any other manner that doesn't make it feel like we're doing this because it's the big trend right now, baby. Let's go. And B, I completely understand how unbelievably ungrateful I sound when I talk about this topic as a whole. It's something that I honestly really am not too fond of talking about when it comes to just putting my voice out there because, like I said, it sounds very, very ungrateful for me to say stuff like this when these people are working so hard to create such a beautiful experience and a fun one in theaters that, yes, I do eventually go and enjoy, but here I am just like slandering it. Well, I'm not slandering the work that they do. I just wish that the work that they did was done in a seasonal format. I hope you guys understand like what I have an issue with It's not the incredible work that they do, it's the format. I'm putting this together as I'm making this video. Cause I mean, yeah, who wouldn't want to go sit down in a theater and watch a 2-hour and 35-minute movie for Demon Slayer? That is a crazy length, Jesus Christ. But in all seriousness, the length of these movies isn't even the thing I have an issue with, as we just stated. My main issue with the Infinity Castle movies is that if you have not read the manga for Infinity Castle, you are going to get a completely incomplete experience as these movies come out. Now, obviously, when that's all said and done and all these movies are out and they're on streaming or you've seen them in theaters, yeah, you're gonna get the full experience, but nobody should have to wait like 5 or 6 plus years just to get the full experience of one story arc. I want you to let that sink in real quick. You're gonna have to wait like maybe 6 or more years to get the full experience of one story arc. I know everybody said it was crazy when they were making this into a trilogy, but now's the time to really put that into perspective for you. Because after I went and saw the movie, I realized just how accurate that statement really is. For this next section of the video, I'm gonna have a non-movie spoiler section, a movie spoiler section, and a manga spoiler section where I talk about the main issue that rose up when it came to this movie. So they're all gonna be timestamped over here, so if you want to just watch the section you can watch and then skip to the end of it when I'm done talking about all the crazy spoilers, feel free and go ahead. Now, for those of you that haven't seen the first movie, within it we get the start of a very big and very important fight, and one of these characters that is present within this fight has barely gotten the chance to do anything within the entire series. So when I saw them running over to this demon in specific, I was like, oh boy, we're finally gonna get the attention to detail that we need with this character, because we've been here since like 2019 and we don't know we know something, but that was a backstory focused on a whole other character. I'm getting into a little bit too specific. Basically, this fight starts and it gets to a very certain point, and then we just cut to whatever else is happening within the Infinity Castle, and we never go back to finish that fight, which is horrible. Now, for the movie spoiler explanation, for those of you who are wondering what fight I'm talking about none other than Shinobu and Doma. When I got home and talked about the movie to my girlfriend who had already read the manga, she was so unbelievably disappointed to hear that they cut the Shinobu fight short. And look, they're following the manga, right? So it's fair. But that is not the fight. You gotta bend the rules a little bit for that one, because that is not okay. Because look, it's one thing to end the fight, a fight like that, right? But it's a whole other thing when you take into consideration that this is like Shinobu's third or fourth and a half time of actually doing something on screen or having any sort of lore or explanation given about her. And to not only cut her fight short, but to kill her and just never go back? What kind of satisfying resolution is that? What the fuck are you thinking? That is horrible. That is so unbelievably bad. Not only has this series given Shinobu very little time to do legitimately anything, as I stated previously, this character isn't even like fully we've gotten very little of her, which makes her very difficult to enjoy her, to take her in as a character, to like her as a character, because she is a big and important person within this series. That is very well established very early on within the series. But like I just said, you give us barely anything to work with when it comes to her. So I'm sorry, when you create a movie, kill her off, and give us nothing else about her, I'm not gonna do it. You know what they did? You know what they did? They said, hey, go buy the ticket for the next movie whenever the it comes out within like, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. Maybe get your resolution. Who the knows? Like, what the is that? Now look, like I said, I understand that they're following the manga, but I mean, calm the on, dude. You can't do that with that. That was horrible. Now to talk about this situation with full manga spoilers. I went and read the manga for Demon Slayer a few days after watching the movie. Ignorance is such unbelievable bliss in this situation. Because obviously how they left it off in the movie was just horrible, but I didn't know just how bad it was. After reading it, oh my god, I love Shinobu. MVP, honestly. I had no clue how disrespectful the movie was being for cutting that fight off short. Oh my god. I think the thing that really is just like, oh my god to me is the fact that the fight continues like soon after Giyu and Tanjiro's fight with Akaza, which by the way, in the movie, that whole everything was stretched out. In the manga, that went way too quick. I don't know if anybody else says that was stretched out. I'm not talking about the backstory. The backstory was great. That was the best part of that whole fight. The legitimate actual fighting, so stretched out. Holy crap. Ultimately, it's due to this fight and the lack thereof a resolution to it within the first movie that really solidified to me that this is not the way you should be adapting one of the final story arcs within this movie. And another thought arose while I was writing the script for this. There is not any confirmed guaranteed news that they're gonna adapt the Sunrise Countdown arc after these Infinity Castle movies. So they could just do Infinity Castle 1, 2, 3, then we have to wait for maybe like a 12 or 11 episode season for the final arc of Demon Slayer. Now look, I have faith that they're just gonna slap that arc into the very last Infinity Castle movie, as honestly, that makes a lot of sense. But there is a chance in hell that they're gonna end these movies and they're gonna say, wait for the final season. And that's not I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. Now, like I said, I have faith in Ufotable to do the right thing, but there's a small seed of doubt growing within me that makes me think that this is going to be the future that we're currently heading towards. Because if that ends up being true, holy is Ufotable the king of skamazing money out of people's pockets. Because they're going to do it for me as well. Now, with that being said, that is going to be the end of this video. And if you guys have enjoyed, please be sure to go ahead and drop a like down below, subscribe if you guys are new, and comment down below if you guys agree with anything that I said. Because I know I gave nothing but just hot takes in this video. And I'm sure I'm going to get flamed for it someone in the comments. But if you agree with me, then please let it be known. But with that being said, my name is Ziggy Media, and I'm going to catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.